children are the members of our society that are defenseless. They cannot fight back. And unfortunately, many people take advantage of that. There's so much abuse of children, not only sexual abuse, there's also a slave trade. Little children have to work day and night. Children are on drugs. They're used for prostitution, for lots of other things, and they get beaten. And when you look, that's something that's unacceptable. With my work, I want to take the side of the children. You force people to be aware of that and to do something against it. And I think with art, sometimes you can do it. I was born in Vienna after the war. This city was a dark place at that time. It was like hell. Even though nobody talked about what happened, as a child, I always felt something really bad must have happened. I felt it all the time. Whenever I asked, nobody would talk. People were unable to speak. It took me lots of research as a kid, because I was very insistent, and I started to dig and ask to find out about the Holocaust. Just a little bit, another little bit, because nobody would talk. Up to the 70s, this subject was not talked about in school, for example. Nobody would mention it. So when I learned about the Holocaust, for me, everything changed, because as a kid, I was obsessed with the idea of justice. When I learned a little bit of what had happened, I thought, this is impossible. The world cannot go on after that. You cannot kill so many people, children, and then live as if nothing had happened. And that's what the Austrians did. So, and I started to obsessively, in school, to research. It was the only thing I was interested in the past. I wanted to know what was going on, what is going on. And in Germany, at that time, I found out thousands of children were tortured. I saw forensic photographs of dead children's bodies who have been abused and tortured to death. And this is images that you cannot forget. So it was images that were burned so deep into my mind that I didn't know what to do with that. And I think that was really the reason why I started to paint. I could always draw nice, but I never wanted to be a painter. I thought it must be the most boring thing on earth. But I think I was 18 when I the first time realized it's the only way to go for me. I have no other way. And I started to paint these children. That's what I did. So I went to the Academy for Fine Art in Vienna. It's the same academy that rejected Adolf Hitler twice when he wanted to become a painter, which is of course the biggest mistake that any university has ever made in history, not to accept him. And that's where I started to paint my children. It was little watercolors of bandaged and wounded children. I had no concept of a career as a painter. I just needed to talk about it. And I found with painting, visually, it was much easier to approach that subject and to communicate. And I didn't know at that time if anybody would care or ever look at that stuff. But very soon I realized that people that saw that, they usually were shocked. And I was amazed. I thought, my little watercolors can have such an impact on grown-up people. The strange thing for me was always that the horrible stuff that was going on, the violence against people that couldn't, and children that couldn't defend themselves, was not a problem for people. War was not a problem for them. The Holocaust was not a problem, it was over. But an innocent image, a watercolor, a tiny watercolor, would upset them. And that's how it started. That's how children became the central theme in all my works. I only learned about Hanoch Levin, the greatest playwright of Israel, who unfortunately died in 1999, a few years ago when the Israeli opera contacted me, because the plan to take one of his most important plays called The Child, Dreams, into an opera.
I knew Hellenwein's painting, but when his name was raised, I went back to the albums of his different art, and I said, listen, this is the twin brother of Hanoch Levin.
I've never known Hanoch Levin, but it was so intimate and so close. Every word, every character in that piece.
There were no connection, living in another culture, another part of the world, but sharing the same kind of sensitivity of a vulnerable child. And this unmerciful approach, none of them, not Gottfried Hellenwein and not Hanoch Levin, trying to be nice.
I met Gottfried when we did the co-production of the Rosenkavalier with Los Angeles Opera. And I saw his paintings of children in his atelier in Los Angeles, and also in books that he gave me. And when we started thinking about the child dreams, we had a meeting at that time with a few people, and then we thought immediately that this is the right thing for Gottfried to do.
I think it was Hannah who came up with the idea, and she said, well, let's think of Gottfried Helmwein. And everybody said, yeah. We were a few people also from the production. And then she said, wait, I have a book here. We opened the book, and all of us, especially me, we were in a state of shock. The book was, the way it seems to us, was the book of the dreaming child.
It is first and foremost a psychological story. And in that ideal, actually, it's something that appeals. It's not just an Israeli text, although it is very Israeli. It's also a text that speaks to humanity because it deals with very deep psychological issues. The trauma of being born, the trauma of as a child growing up and being faced with atrocities which happened years ago but are happening today as well.
When I was told that he would be that Gottfried would be the designer for A Child's Dream, it was very obvious to me why he was chosen and how his work is so close. It's a pity they never met, actually, Hanoch and Gottfried. There's something similar in their souls, for sure.
When he was alive, he was actually very controversial in Israel because some of the things were tough to confront for some Israelis, because he was very critical also to his own people. The way he describes the situations on stage are brutal.
He was very kind man in life, but not on stage. On stage, he is very cruel to us because he wants to move us. But it will be wrong to me to say all this without mentioning that he is a poet too. He is using the language of poets.
People like that are necessary. It's important that you have the artists as... Sometimes they seem to be inconvenient, like you have artists and you think, oh my God, what a pain in the ass. But I think any society needs that, because societies tend to not look and to get more and more solid. So if we wouldn't have artists that provoke from time to time, that force us to confront certain things, then I think everything would freeze.
Hanoch Levin and I date way back. We studied together at university, at Tel Aviv University. We were both on the board of the student magazine. You know, I edited the literary magazine. He already wrote a satirical page, which was very, very humorous and subversive, and even once came to the parliament as a kind of a great scandal when Marlon Dietrich came here and he gave some kind of a very strong views about relations with Germany and all that.
So I really think that every artist has one basic theme for his work. And no matter how many works of arts you create, you always have basically one thing that you want to talk about, really. You want to shake people, you want to touch them, you want to move them. And I think it's, the roots are the same. It doesn't matter if you tell a story, if you sing a song, or if you paint a painting, it's always striking a chord that's within us that we all share, you know.
I think Levin was very angry and insulted and painful from the fact that children are dead or are dying, especially in our age, because a child shouldn't be dead. A child should live.
When I read this opera, it's unbelievable how much Hanoch Levin described what I always wanted to paint. And so for me, this is kind of illustrating my own work.
I thought nothing is more suitable. And working with Gottfried was so enlightening, enriching. So the dialogue, which started in 2 years in the winter of Tel Aviv, in the coffee shops, which is one after the other over the beach. And then it was a fantastic, unforgettable week in his castle in Ireland, which was from my dream is to work from morning till the next morning. And this is what happened there.
When I met Omri the first time, it was very easy because I already had the vision.
And it was like a voyage of exploring how to do this play and how to do it differently than it was done by Levin, and it's different. And I think still faithful.
I understand Hanoch Levin as a compromiseless artist with a very clear language. And he is not scared of not being liked. As an artist, I feel like a brother to Hanoch Levin, and I feel his mission, his vision is so much my own that I think it's my obligation to fight for him. So I knew what I wanted to do. I was talking to Hannah. She actually said, with the children, it's not a budget question, she said to me. With the children, it's a more legal question.
Yes.
I said, so it's not a budget question? She said, no.
The previous experience was that they didn't let children to play in this show when it was originally opened.
Really?
Levin wanted for the child a child.
You see? I didn't even know that, but from the beginning on when I read
But they didn't let him.
I see.
Because the stuff is so strong, the original play.
Oh, we have to convince them.
Yes. So, and it's a lot of bureaucracy. So
that's the thing, you're right.
So I have my experience with, from the other side with them.
Ah, interesting. But that's actually good to hear. Because I always thought when I read it...
the innocent child.
Yeah, if I thought I understand exactly where he's coming from. And I thought he needs to have, for that piece, you need a real child. But it's good to hear that he wanted that and he thought of that. Because it's so logic for me. The other thing is not
But then
right.
he took a small woman, girl. I mean, mature actress, but small.
Yeah, but it tells you it's the second choice. It's not what he wanted.
If we really find a heartbreaking child.
That's the point, and then that's why we should have an audition.
I tell you what I have to do. Think about it.
Yeah.
No, I see the temptation in this.
We'll be much stronger. And I think also it would add something if you have this shadow for
And
it.
I tell you what I suggest to do is to
I find the right child. If
to have an experiment to take now, not in the rehearsal, the singers, Hila, and to take a child. I have a bunch of children in the theater that I can...
Very good. Let's do that. But it sounded great. Great voice. I like it.
So we are going to stage now, right?
Yes, we're not going to stage. We're experimenting with the help of Limo a little bit to see if there is a voice on one hand and the body of the small child in the other side. no shortcuts. It has to be a lot of work if you take the child. How does it look to you? In principle, it's not an
I think in principle it's very good. We need the choreographer. But I think just by looking at her, you can tell that touches you. As a grown-up person, you start thinking and try to imagine. But here, look, she can't spoil it, no matter what she does. That's a child.
Yes.
And then you have all these grown-ups around, you know?
Yes.
And the soldiers is contrast.
Yes.
I mean, that's now is vulnerable. That's perfect. Yeah. My idea was then, let's have two people. One is the child that tells the story visually, that moves and acts as the child. And then you have the singer as a shadow, as the voice. I think Omri saw the potential in that specific vision. Yeah? He saw it. In that play, the center is the child. Now we have 3, 4 little. And this one, this poor child here, gets paler and paler. We have to get in, but more visible. Can you do it? Yeah, but it's good to see it more. How can somebody be so innocent? Yeah, that's very good. And the arm? You speak English? You understand English a little bit? Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I don't speak Hebrew, unfortunately. So I have to speak in English. Stop, stop. You're a great actor, fantastic. Now slowly come back. Yes, stop. This is very good. Yes, very good. A little more. Little more. Yes, very good. Stop. Excellent. Very good. Sweet. So sweet. What a beautiful face. It's perfect. Actually not bad. Wow. This is pretty good.
If we flip it, it will be better.
I would do it like that. Why not?
The question is if Omri won't have a problem with it.
He will scream if he doesn't want something, trust me. So. Okay, so it will be a crack, basically. We don't have a hole like that. It will be a crack.
Yeah.
We can only have a hole if some parts fall in one or the other direction.
And that can be also.
You pull the one up.
Yes.
So, stop, 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 not more. A little bit less. Less. Even less, 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 less. Yeah, stop. And the other one in the other direction. Yes, yes, yes.
Is that the maximum speed of the walls?
Shouldn't be slower than that. What do you think?
No.
Trying to do it faster now.
Okay.
They try to do it faster than that.
The
trying
piece
the
in the middle
Mm-hmm.
should fall a little bit early. It was standing too long.
I'm the choreographer here, and I work with the acrobats.
I'll speak in English for the sake of Gregor, our choreographer. I think you all met him.
And when you don't sing, do more, yeah, do a lot. And when you sing, do less.
Choreography looks good.
Of course, that's why I brought the choreographer in, yeah? I always need a choreographer. And also in this case, I suggested Gregor Seifert, a guy who is an amazing dancer and one of the greatest choreographers. So, and I worked with him before, and I knew he is a brother. He totally understands what I want. And this is a guy who can tell the story only with the movement of bodies.
I have a project together with Gottfried before, a couple of years ago in Düsseldorf. I know his work, I know his thinking, and we have a good Yeah, we have a good collaboration. Yeah.
It's well done because it was very difficult. And what's really good is the texture, yeah. You know all the parts where one can step and...
Okay.
made it rounded everywhere.
It's really well made. But we need to paint on it.
So
Yeah, I need a good light and I need the painters to help me.
You will be here.
It's a little, it's very good, the texture and everything, but it's a little bit too dead. It needs more...
we know.
After the rehearsal, I was watching a video that Bambi shoot. And I saw that the light that he made, it's already makes a lot of white wash.
Makes the island very bright, you mean?
Yeah.
But it's true, with light you can do a lot. Bambi, that's good. Can you set the light so that we know how to paint? I'm serious. As far as I remember, this stuff was always lighter, and this was darker.
Yeah.
So we have to play with that.
In the composition,
Yeah.
all the top, like all those, they're very light.
I would feel better when I have it, but we don't.
Here's the guy. I sent him a link, so he might have it.
Here's the guy.
He can print it one more time.
Nitzan, look. What we need is the original island. Caspar David Friedrich.
The paint, no problem.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Because if we can
Don't worry.
print it and...
Yeah. It will be here.
That'd be great. In color, yeah?
Sure.
This is good. So, let's start. What do you have? Is it hard to get? We don't have anything here.
No.
Maybe the workshop has something. They should have something. So that would be then similar to what we have later, or?
Similar, you want?
Or it would be more neutral, or what?
It would be neutral, white line.
Okay, good.
I'm not a verbal person, you know, but I really work by intuition. I really feel the stage. I never read scripts. I do Macbeth. I do every production. I never show me the rehearsal. I will line it.
So your color was lightly, what was it, yellowish or?
It's amberish. So the
Amberish.
It's 198.
If that's the thing we use, then it would be,
Inca amber.
would be great if we would have the same, because then I know what I'm doing here. And we have no surprises. Oh, Nitzan? You're a genius. Yeah. Okay, that's okay.
It's more rusted.
Yes. It gets darker, yeah, when it dries. I mean, it's a little brownish.
Yeah, but it's just because
The
of
light
the
is also back.
Yeah. You see, I turn.
I know what you mean, yeah. Okay, it's true. Yeah. It's too much, so that makes it flat. I think if you pull it down, then we would have the same light here, which is beautiful. This is better.
טוב, יש לנו עוד 7 דקות, בואו נעשה רן מההתחלה.
It's much better.
תודה רבה לכולם.
It's much better.
Yeah,
It's not natural. Looks so good. This is getting warmer.
Yes.
It's very nice, and we'll get warmer, and in the back we get orange and red. It's very good. No matter what you build on stage, if you set the light in the wrong way, you destroy it. Or you can enhance an image and make it amazing. You can paint with light. Can I suggest something? Yes. Make, as you just did, make this. First make all the paints, and then mix it.
כמו שאמרתי לך.
Yeah?
כי ככה הוא עובד, זה כמו על הפלטה.
I was thrilled that the Helmwein took upon himself this mission and this challenge of the dreaming child, because I cannot even think of a better designer for this opera. It sounds funny, but he was born to do it, and the opera was born to be done by him. It's like unbelievable. Like when you see what he does, it is just like, as we say in Hebrew, like a glove to the hand. Like it fits perfectly.
I always look, does it touch and move me with any type of art?
The look
any
goes with words. I can't ignore it. You hear the words,
Yeah.
it has its essence, it has his, how do you say, something solid. It's like a wood, it's like a metal. It's sometimes the word when you say, it's like a material. You can't ignore. It's like a painting.
If the word means something, if you say child, you have to see a child. Because child means child. Doesn't mean an elder lady.
Okay. Gottfried's idea was that we'll have a child, a real child. But then we got a kind of forbidden order from the Minister of Labor that we can't employ children under the age of 14.
I just wish that people would be so concerned when children are on computer games or in the internet or something like that, or in the movies, because the real world is much more dangerous and more evil than a play of Hanoch Levine can ever be.
So we're trying to look, and we saw all kind of girls in the age of 17, 19. It was a bit ridiculous. And then I asked Ilah to do the part in the second and third act.
It was a big dilemma, I think, for Gottfried and Omri. I know he wanted a child through the whole opera. Unfortunately, it doesn't work in opera.
So right now the work on this piece is in a stage of a kind of a crisis from my point of view.
What I know from Gottfried is that in the beginning, the original idea was that the child, the real child, goes through the whole piece, all the acts, and the singer is the voice. But when I was not here in December, the piece will change by Omri. So now we have the situation that in the first and in the last act we have the voice and the child. And in the second and third act we have just the singer as the child.
I cannot relate to 19th century theater where people are melodramatic, pretending all the time. I don't want to see men pretending to be women, women pretending to be children.
At the beginning, I said, fine, you know, at the aria, to bring a child to dance and do all the physical stuff, I'm really fine with it. But later on, when I found myself singing to myself a duet, it was quite weird.
But we hired a certain designer. And if we hire someone, then we obviously trust their images, their vision.
I made a point many years ago that I don't interfere in these decisions. And basically, I think it's, in the end, the decision of the stage director.
So somehow this afternoon, I'll have to get the vision of Gottfried together with the restrictions that the staff will have. I don't think it will be easy.
When is the time that we can talk? We should talk.
After here, after.
Okay, good. Great.
We have after the meeting.
Yeah.
אני לא זוכרת.
סיפריל או איך זה נקרא?
אני לא זוכרת, יש לי את המרשם בתיק.
אבל תקראי כבר אותם?
לא, זהו.
It became very clear after the discussion that everybody in the opera house wants the woman on stage. So nobody wants the child. Artistically, I think it's a mistake to take the child out in the middle of the play. Yeah, maybe can you put it here? Yeah. Thank you. Very nice. Thank you very much. it was always a fight and a conflict with the director and the opera because they believe it's better to have a grown-up singer playing the child. I believe if you see a woman on stage with another woman, I see two women. I fought against that, but today it was clear for me that it's nothing I can win. The opera has done an amazing job, and especially Hannah, I absolutely admire. She has done more for art and culture than most other people I know. And the opera wouldn't be here if she wouldn't have done it. So as much as I can do, I will fight for that vision in the play. On all the parts where I have influence, I will do my best to fight for the child.
The whole problem was at the beginning when the child was less than 14 or something, and the text is really not for children. I mean, I think that was the problem from the beginning.
I think the whole establishment was against it because the singer wants to be in the center, in the limelight. A singer doesn't want to be a shadow of a child, you know. So I think that's when the egos entered of people who want to be on stage, who want to be seen and celebrated. But I only cared about the vision. I didn't care about that. So I think there was so much pressure also on Omri to put the singers into the limelight. So from then on, it was a struggle because everything was working against the child. Look, this picture was my vision, yeah? So I have left in that piece the beginning and the end, yeah? But this has to be intact. It cannot be destroyed. So I have painted 1,000 pictures, yeah? So I know about composition and dynamic. If the mother carries the child like that, the child wants to hold the mother, and the mother wants to pull away, it's completely logical that the second child runs around her and pulls the mother away from the child. It's totally illogic, completely confusing. What she should do, she goes away from the child, and we see that. Child is holding on, the contact is broken, the child
Okay, that's
like
a good
that.
idea.
So the mother goes away, but I haven't seen that. The whole thing is this gray woman pulling.
But no, not in this moment. In this moment, she's in the ground. In the moment of the mother and the child separating, Gottfried.
And that we should see. I have not seen that. You always say, here's the text. Here it says, I'm sorry, words are like concrete blocks.
Yes.
Not this is a word, it is a concrete block. So the child was supposed...
The child should embrace her, that's right.
Should embrace her. The mother wants to get rid of her, yeah? So she should hold on like a necklace along her neck.
Right you are.
If you want to be with the words of him.
Absolutely.
At least this was the idea of this image.
And we'll achieve it.
Here, hold.
Grab.
And then she goes. You grab mother. You can do like that. And now you're only here because people should see this connection. And then you, no, mother. And then it breaks. And in that moment, you realize, oh my God, mother's gone. I'm not in contact with her, you know? She's gone, you're alone. You will never be in contact with her again. And that is the moment people will sit here and say, ah! Because you do that for the public, yeah? You have to do it so desperate that when people see you, get tears in their eyes, you know? Because they think, oh my God, you want the mother, you don't want to let her go, and then she's gone. The only reason why I'm in is because of the work of Hanoch Levin. Because I think his vision is so close to what I try to do with my images that I immediately saw the whole concept. So for Hanoch Levin, you have to burst out of that tradition to play conventional theater. You know, you have to go beyond that. And I knew exactly how to translate that into pictures, into images. Yes, okay.
Wow!
Thank you. The next?
You're the next.
Looking great.
Now we do you. After you do us, we do you.
No, not so easy.
We can do the two.
You're not blue enough, excuse me.
I'm not blue enough.
Sit down.
Just close your mouth. Maybe we can also have some more red here a little bit.
More red.
And it's here probably. That should be light to bring the cheekbones out a little bit more. The shoes will be amazing. They'll make shoes for you. Did they measure your foot yet?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it will be good. It's actually a great design. I would do more, yeah? It's like, it should be theater. Yeah, give him something to make him more the face of Eber.
And Gottfried, we have to think also about the two guns that he has to put here. And if you think you need more pockets.
I don't know. Does he have a place where I can put the guns?
I thought here there is one place.
Yeah, we have something where I can stick it in.
Yeah.
Can I move that here a little bit? I cram it.
Like what? Today it's a rehearsal, so we are not going to destroy another suit. We use the same one.
Rami, Gottfried suggested something logical, is that your fainting or your losing your power is gradual.
What I see is,
hear him.
You got hit, and then you fall. After a while, I see you coming up, and you scream again. After a while, you fall again. I'm not connected to it because it's comical. It's slapstick. 4, get up. 4, get up. I don't take it serious. But the blood is very realistic. When the blood comes out everywhere, it would be amazed. You're like, full with blood.
You are very logical.
I think I would be touched as a viewer if I see this bleeding man and see how he loses his energy. Life is running out of him.
The name of my role is the Bleeding Man. I'm a violinist. Now the story starts with the most sweet moment of a family. Parents are watching their child dreaming.
It starts in an idealistic, pastoral, white, homely, harmonic situation.
You have the father, the mother, and the child. It's a tiny little world, but all is protected, and it's all nice and beautiful.
And the writer writes, maybe it's the most happiest moment we'll ever have. And he's right, because a moment after that bursts into the room the bleeding man. And like his title, he is bleeding, and he's shocked that they made a hole in him, like in a box. I'm not a box, I'm a man, I'm more than that, I'm a violinist. The world is going to lose a big artist. And this is how I bring death and sadness into the world. And from that moment, everything is just falling down.
The general force, it's not a private person or a private army. It happens all over. Hellenwein wisely decided on this huge black outfit. This represents the force as it is.
I completely trust Gottfried and his ideas, and I did not have any second thought. Asked me to wear this, and I think it's just the right thing for this role. When you read the title, The Woman Born for Love, this is not exactly the love one would expect. This specific role is very sexual, it's very extreme. I feel so secure and so, when I look at the mirror, I have no doubts. It's clear what this role is about.
I thought if the sound would be not there, only by looking at my pictures, I wanted to understand the story.
We can recognize the signs of good and bad. You know, it's very, everybody can understand who's against who.
The difficulties these refugees has to deal with.
People are trying to escape from this land. They are attacked.
The commander start the process, the army start the process of changing life, breaking life, demolish everything you have and know, and send you to another world. And the captain is the owner of the ship that can save you, but you have to pay a huge price.
Only some lucky people can get on this ship, and the mother is begging to take the child.
If you just get on that ship, you would get to, everything would be solved.
Because this ship might lead us to redemption, to the promised land, to salvation.
I find that the boat has a very imposing position, and the boat is, let's face it, it's a symbol of everything. It was a symbol of safety, of getting people out. It was also a symbol of a prison because they couldn't get off.
Once they're on the boat, they go to the land, and it looks really horrible, disappointing. It's like barren land, it's rocks. It doesn't look like paradise.
That's their only hope for life, to get on the island, and the governor says, we have no place for anyone, we'll pray for you.
They're not allowed to get off the ship, you know, so they cannot even step on that soil.
Then the mother says, but the child, what about the child? And then the heart of the governor is, opens up, and he says, oh, the child, okay, I'll accept the child, but the child alone. And then the child is going back to the boat. He doesn't want to be separated from his mother, and that's his verdict, basically, that he declares death on himself.
What I like about Hanoch is that he uses really a comic strip technique to make things very simple in a good way and very powerful. He's not talking about specific individuals, he's talking about types of characters. So you have the commander, you have the captain, you have the mother, you have the woman born for love, the whore, you have soldiers. So I thought it's a blessing because you can really tell the whole story in images. And that's what I always wanted. Visually, and for the piece and for the whole idea, why I'm involved is the first act and the fourth act. First act, you have the big child, you have the soldiers coming in, and then the soldiers turn into acrobats. So the whole scene will be also visually interesting and fascinating. Yeah? Act 2 and 3 is more conventional. There's good, interesting elements in it, but first act is important, and the most important of all is the fourth act. Yeah, it's encouraging. You get the idea. It could be. I mean, we could hang puppets also here and here and here, so that we have not the feeling it's black here, like a hole.
But then you have the feeling it goes this way. It's more concentrated, I believe. It's like a picture, you know, picture has frame.
I just think we could try, because then you have the feeling it's endless in every direction, wherever you look. You shouldn't be able to figure out how it's done. You think they're everywhere, wherever you look, they're there. And puppets would be easy there. So let me suggest that. There's some huge holes we need to fill, yeah? So if you tell me what we can do, what we cannot do.
This one we already done, we may need to bring it back, but well,
because there's a huge hole. It's just like, you see the puppets around, there's a huge hole, you see no nets and empty space.
We have an agreement that's going to change heights. Now I move things, and I have to move lamps as well.
So we have moved that up, as I said. This is up.
Okay, but please don't move them, because I cannot move the lamps.
The thing is, these ones we cannot move. These ones we cannot move because they are for the children, so they cannot be made longer. And
They can, why not? They can.
They said, no, it's a fixed cables which they cannot be longer.
can't go there.
Ask him, he knows. They cannot be made longer, right? There's two things.
לא. הבעיה עם הכבלים של הבובות זה שייצרו אורחים והם די תקועים. הדבר היחידי שאפשר לעשות לקחת את כל הצור.
No way, no way, no.
רגע, תראה. לא נוגעים. רגע, לא נוגעים.
Can I speak freely?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Of course.
One of them hasn't got a taste at all. He knows the mise-en-scène. He knows what he wants to see in terms of faces and spoken words. And the other one doesn't understand about theater at all.
I never interfere in that. I don't care, but I don't interfere in that.
Of the sun coming out. Now it's not happening. Because Gottfried is not experienced with stage, he doesn't understand sometimes what we're doing. You know. It's a very sophisticated computer. It takes ages to do that. Okay. Understand? So I'm doing it and he jumps. They keep nagging to each other and to me.
No, I told you there's one mistake because we didn't bother the workers yesterday to move the steps. There are mistakes there, which I'm responsible for.
When would you like me to say something?
Huh?
When can I talk without interfering into anything or disturbing you? Is there any time when I can talk? Just tell me, and I will only talk if you want me to talk. Usually I control the lighting myself. It's very important. It's an important part of the whole process and the vision. In this case, I didn't have enough control. In my understanding, what we had was lots of spots, and I'm fighting to get rid of that. You said, right, that's why I'm not, how can I be disturbing? I take your side, and I fight for getting a picture that looks like interesting, dramatic, and beautiful, instead of washing everything away with spots.
That's what I do for a living. Interesting.
Look, I made this fucking stupid set. No, listen.
It's not going to go to a place.
Yes, but
it's not magic.
I don't know what you're talking about. I know all that. I made this set. So the set stands and falls with the light. So you can, this light, you can destroy it completely. You can make it better. So that's why we have to talk. You can destroy it completely. Or it can go in this and that.
But sometimes you talk to me like I'm stupid. I don't
How? Why did this? This is totally not true. No. I talk with total respect. Whenever it's something good, I say, this is very good. The light from the side looks very good, actually.
It's better, yeah.
Fantastic. But if you don't tell me, I cannot know. Okay. I never know. Because I always think I'm disturbing you all the time. If you tell me, wait a moment, I will shut up. I'm a very courtly person. And then you say, no, and then I talk. But I have to save part of the visual vision, yeah? If that, it has to. This is the visual idea. And I need to save a certain portion of it, yeah? It cannot go away, because then my thing is gone.
I think that Gottfried, it's quite obvious even to say, takes a stand. When I spoke about Gottfried's other work than the one on the opera, that's what I meant. I mean, he's you can say nearly obsession with the theme of childhood. When we talk about what's wrong with humanity, nowadays, we talk about violence. And violence against children is perhaps one of the most radical, because that is the naked babe. This is the kind of innocence which is defenseless, which can't defend itself. And children all over the world depend on us, who are supposed to protect them.
It is with great pleasure to address you here tonight at the Israeli Opera in Tel Aviv on the occasion of this world premiere of The Child Dreams, and in presence of the Austrian artist Gottfried Helmwein for the opening of this exhibition, 9th November night.
We see the installation 9th November night from my husband, which is an installation he did the first time in Cologne, 1988, and it was he wanted to do it to remember about the Crystal Night.
It was the 50th anniversary of Kristallnacht, so it was the day when the Holocaust actually started, the day when hundreds of synagogues were burned in all German-speaking countries, many people were killed. It's important to remind people of that, and I decided to make this installation in the center of the city of Cologne. That was the place where I lived at that time. And I realized that it was really quiet. Nobody talked about it. Talked about lots of things, but that was not mentioned, not in the media.
There was not a lot like in the papers or things about that event, so it was kind of quiet in Germany.
I wanted to have something that's visible and that you cannot avoid seeing.
So that the viewer is looking at it and he thinks, what is that selection? It's kind of disturbing to see children, look at the children's faces, and now you would have to select who is worth living, who is not.
It was interesting when I asked the city for permission, I didn't get it. It was not granted to me. Every department said it's not possible, it would disturb the traffic, it would do this and that. So there was no chance. And then I was lucky because there is a railway going right through the city on a higher plateau. And this railway doesn't belong to the city, it belongs to the national railway system. So I asked the people from the railway system and they said, yes, you can use it. Which actually gave it another meaning because it was the same railway that in the past, 50 years ago, shipped many of the Jewish German people to concentration camps.
We had so much space, it was very long, like it was really an endless row of children, which was great to show it like that.
Face after face after face looking at you. And at the beginning I had this word selection, which means selektia or selection. And because I was thinking, if you have to take this horrible time, yeah, and you want to get to the core, the essence of all of it, then for me it was the word selection.
Just put people in a row, and with children it's even more touching. And you just put them in a row and you look at them, and now you are all of a sudden, you get the concept that that's what they did. They selected.
There was a discussion of whether to put the Hebrew, the name in Hebrew also.
I myself am a second generation of survivors of the Holocaust. So for me, the word selection is very difficult. This is why I didn't even want to translate it into Hebrew, because when you say, or for me, when you say selektia in Hebrew, it means immediately that one goes to the right for the camps and the other one goes to the left for the gas chamber.
I'm sure like in Israel it will be very different than it was at any other place, because so many people who come here have been involved, or, you know, they have been maybe on that side where we see the children now. It was interesting, when we put it up, we were actually on the place, like it was along the railway station in Cologne, and then a very elegant dressed man came up, he spoke English, and he said, do you know what it is all about? And I said, oh, here's my husband, you can talk to him, he's the artist, he did it. And the man introduced himself. He said, I'm from South Africa and I'm a scientist. It's very interesting. And then slowly he kind of spilled out his thoughts and what he had in mind. And he basically explained us that subhumans really exist. There are people. It's scientifically proven. He said it's in the books.
That's the core of the insanity and evilness, because a group of people decide to play God. They even say it's scientific. Scientifically, you can prove somebody is inferior and not worth to live.
What shocked me the most that he said it's written in the books. And then I said, is everything what's written in books true? I mean, there was a lot of things written in books which you still look for yourself.
So I wanted to show the core of this evilness is actually total stupidity. Because of that, millions of people had to die. And what I did, I presented all these children, and with the word selection, I actually invited people, select. And I think by looking at that, people realized the stupidity and insanity that's really behind this evil. But it also upset other people, because after the second night, somebody with a knife slashed all the throats of these children. So all these panels were kind of cut, sliced, destroyed.
If you do things like that, you also run into things like that and you become aware it's still an issue. People really still think like that, which is really very dangerous.
So look at Selection and look at the child of Hanoch Levin who tells his mother, I can't believe that you can neglect me. And she says, go away. And he says, no, I mean, you don't talk seriously. I mean, you don't mean it, actually. I know that you don't mean it. I know that you... And those words, without actually speaking them, you can see in every painting that you see in Selection, as well in many other works of Gottfried.
For me, it makes sense to connect it with Hanoch Levin's The Child Dreams, because as I understand it, that's the purpose of that play. Every line tells you that. It's about that. Look at the child.
He had a vision. He had a really well thought out vision, and he knew that this exhibition belonged to this production. For sure.
Did he talk with you through the process when he works here? I mean, does he share with you?
You mean
feelings?
like this
No,
9th November night now?
No,
or?
I mean working here, like how it is going, etc.
Yeah, sure, I know I mean, that stuff I know, yes.
What can you reveal us? Because he doesn't really speak.
No, I think like, I know him, he's an artist, he's very specific in what he wants. He knows exactly what he wants. So if he goes to his studio, nobody is interfering with his work. He's used to really express in visual terms what he wants to say. So if he paints, there's nobody saying, okay, a little bit less, a little bit more this, more to the right, more to the... No, he's with himself, which is actually kind of a luxury that you can do it. It's always a process. I know it from every opera production he did, that you all of a sudden work with many, many people. And he's really good with that. He's excellent with that. But he's very specific with his artistic integrity. He really... And I think he's really, really good. I mean, I really know it sounds maybe a little bit like if I say it as his wife, but I think he's really an amazing artist when it comes also to the stage.
I'm sorry, it's cold. Poor child. So we need to do something here. If they flip, so that here's stuff, yeah? I mean, I can do. Just a little bit.
It's enough.
It's enough?
Enough.
You think it's enough? So let me see. Okay, maybe. Yeah, that's okay. It should be okay. Ah, yeah, that's how you do it. Good, good, good. It's okay. Let's leave it for right now. Okay, it looks good.
This act says so much about children's today in the world, but the story and the meaning of the piece. This is a good way to work in a theater, to show what's happened in the world, what's really happened.
Gottfried. today with never an intention to make them up.
Where's props? Oh, yeah, because I need
Props.
to have a time to correct some of the puppets.
Okay.
Some of them are bad, so we need to do work on that. In art, you have the freedom to play with reality. You take pieces of history of different times, and you put them together in a different way. And that's important, because if everything would have been playing in the same time by the costumes and the set, it would kill the story. Then you would think, oh, he meant that time. That's good. I was not involved. I was not a refugee and I was not a Nazi. So it has nothing to do with me. So by putting it together like a puzzle, there's a specific way to do it. It's not an accident. All that ends in the fourth act, because here there's no time, no place. It's everywhere, and it's every dead child.
I really thought, oh my Lord, how are they going to do this? And then they told me about it, what Gottfried was. I thought, this is going to look ridiculous. And then I saw it, and I mean, blown away. Just is a terrible expression, but I was taken aback. I was, the heart skipped a beat.
I think the fourth act is the part of the play that I'm really proud of. So the fourth act in itself, for me, is like an incredible installation, really powerful. I was impressed myself when I saw it the first time on stage, because I was not sure if it would work. But actually it did. It was actually better than I thought. I was really overwhelmed. So I looked at it, and I was on stage, and I saw it the first time with the projection. And I thought, holy shit, this is amazing, this is unbelievable. The whole audience was going, so you could see it had an enormous impact. The space that's black, so you don't see any end, any limit. And it's filled with dead children, everywhere you look. Dead children of war, of rape, of abuse. They're all moving slightly, and they're whispering. There was one faint little hope. It was the Messiah, because the people, grown-ups, always talked about the Messiah. So they're waiting for him. So when you see him on stage the first time, it's already a big disappointment, because he's so little. They're all dreaming of being resurrected. They still have not given up the hope. And then it's more disappointing, because it's found out that he's completely helpless and he's just a little criminal, and he gets shot.
Today, somebody from the stage said this a little bit with criticism. I think it was actually a great thing. He said, Gottfried works like an artist, and I think it's a great thing. In an opera world, yes, you can allow the designer to be an artist, and I think what he did is very artistic.
It was fantastic, fantastic. Thank you.
היה מדהים.
היה יוצא דופן, גאווה ישראלית אמיתית.
I think when everything was over, I had a good feeling. So the question for me is at the end, did the essence of the vision that I had, or in that case, Hanoch Levin, did that survive at the end? That's really the question. I thought it did. Given the circumstances and the limited funds and all that, and the limited time, and the laws and all that, it was a great achievement. This opera, especially the fourth act, is, I think it's an important part of my work, and I wouldn't like to miss it. It's very important. It brought all the children that I have painted before together in a three-dimensional space. I treat the stage like a canvas. It's just three-dimensional, and everything moves. Oh my God, this is fast. Wow, this is good. It's a great space to ride, right? Isn't it? You can go around. Oh, good, great. That's a cool bike, would you say?